Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I am Harshini Pathirana. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst.
Kalani River water supply restored. No chemical contamination detected, says Water Board. Suresh Saleh gets fresh 90-day detention order. Attorney General says Suresh Saleh obstructed investigations and provided false information. Kehil Baddara Padme remanded. Bas Lalit detained for further questioning. Civil Intelligence Front exposes alleged deals behind bankrupt businesses. Sri Lanka opens Mena Basin oil and gas blocks to global investors. On to those stories in detail now. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board has assured the general public that water distributed through the Ambatale and Biyagama Kalani South Bank water treatment plants is safe for consumption. Its chairman, Chandana Bandara, said laboratory testing has confirmed that the water meets the required quality standards.
The assurance comes after authorities temporarily suspended water supply to Colombo and several surrounding areas last night following an emergency situation that led to the shutdown of the two treatment plants. Residents of Heyanthadua became concerned last afternoon after noticing water in a paddy field turning a distinctive blue colour. Subsequent inquiries by residents led them to trace the flow of the coloured water to a roadside drain originating from a container yard belonging to a private company.
අපිට දැනුණා මේ මොනවා හරි මේ වතුරට මිශ්‍ර වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා කිමිකල් එකක්. ඒ අනුව ඒ වතුර පාර දිගේ හොයාගෙන එද්දි කිලෝමීටර් එකමාරක් විතර වටයක් ගහගෙන එනකොට මේ සමෘද්ධි මාවතේ තියෙන කන්ටේනර් යාඩ් එක ඇතුලෙන් තමයි ඒවා එළියට එනවා අපි දැක්කේ. PHI මහතුරුන්ට දැනුම් දුන්නා, පොලිසියට දැනුවත් කරා, ජලය ගිහිල්ලා කොට්ටුනෝයට ගිහිල්ලා එතනින් රග්ගහවත්තෙන් කැලණි ගඟට යන්නේ.
ගේට්ටුව අරගෙන යනකොට ඇතුලේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ගෙනලා පස් වගේක් බානවා කෙමිකල් ටික වහන්න. ඊට පස්සේ අපි කතා කරනවා නෑ නෑ මේක මෙහෙමයි කියලා කිව්වා මම එහෙම බෑ අපි මේක හරි නීතියෙන් බලාගමු කියලා පස්සේ මම අපි ඔයිසි මහත්තයාට කතා කරලා ඔයිසි මහත්තයා පොලිසියෙන් ආවා මේ වෙල්යාය දිගේ ගිහිල්ලා කොට්ටුන්න කියන ඔයට වැටෙනවා ඒ කොට්ටුන්න ඔයෙන් රග්ගහවත්තෙන් කැලණි ගඟට තමයි වැටෙන්නේ.
According to geographical measurements, the nearest point of the Kalani River is located approximately 3.5 kilometers from the container yard in Heyanthadua. The nearest point of the river to the Biyagama Kalani South Bank water treatment plant is approximately 2.5 kilometers away, while the Ambatale water treatment plant is situated roughly 3.5 kilometers away. Individuals at the container yard told Newsfirst that a container carrying a solution used in the manufacture of rubber gloves had recently been brought to the premises. They claimed that a leak was detected before the container was admitted to the yard and that the vehicle carrying the container was immediately moved inside, where the empty container was cleaned. According to them, the leaked substance was subsequently washed away by rainwater. However, when questioned by Newsfirst, the company representatives declined to identify the exact nature of the solution involved.
කැලණි ගඟෙන් පහළට තියෙන්නේ පට්ටිවිල ප්ලාන්ට් එක තියෙනවා වෝටර් ප්ලාන්ට් එක ආපහු අබතලේ වෝටර් ප්ලාන්ට් එක තියෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ අපි රෑ ඒවා දැනුවත් කළා රෑ ඒවා දැනුවත් කළා ඒතන්ට දැනුවත් කරාම ඒගොල්ලෝ ප්ලාන්ට් ඔෆ් කරා ඔෆ් කළා එහෙන් වෝටර් බෝඩ් එකනුත් ආවා ඊට පස්සේ ගම්පයිනුත් ආවා අබතලේ එකෙන් ආවා පට්ටිවිල එකෙන් ආවා.
Water supply from both treatment plants, which had been suspended at around 11:30 p.m. last night, was restored by this morning. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board stated that normal water distribution has now resumed.
ඉතාමත්ම හදිසි විමර්ශනයක් ආරම්භ කරා මේ මොකද්ද මේ සිදුවන සිදුවීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඒකම එම ප්‍රදේශයට ගිහිල්ලා ඒ අපද්‍රව්‍ය නිකුත් වීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් විමර්ශනයක් සිදු කරා. ඒ වගේම අපදා කළමනාකරන මධ්‍යස්ථානයත් මේකට සම්බන්ධ වුණා. කැලණි ගඟේ ජලය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ජලයේ තත්ත්වය පරීක්ෂා කිරීම ඒ මොහොතේ සිටම උදෑසන වනතුරුම ජලයේ තත්ත්වය විවිධ ස්ථානවලින් ජලයේ තත්ත්වය අපේ ලැබොරටරිස් ටික ඕපන් කරලා අපි පරීක්ෂා කරා. පරීක්ෂා කරලා කැලණි ගඟේ ජලයේ තත්ත්වය සුරක්ෂිතව තියෙනවා කියන බව තහවුරු කරගත්තට පස්සේ අපි අද උදේ පාන්දර 4:00 වගේ වෙනකොට නැවතත් අඹතලේ ජල පවිත්‍රාගාරයත් ඒ වගේම බියගම ජල පවිත්‍රාගාරයත් නැවත ආරම්භ කරා. නැවත ජලය නිෂ්පාදනය කිරීම බෙදා හැරීම අද උදේ පාන්දර 4:00 වන විට ආරම්භ කරා. ජනතාවට විශේෂයෙන් කනගාටුව පළ කරනවා මේ වගේ හදිසි බිඳ වැටීමක් එහෙම නැත්නම් හදිසි ජලය ඇන හිටීමක් සිදු කිරීමට සිදුවීම ගැන. මේක ඇත්තටම අපි විශේෂිත ආරක්ෂිත පියවරක් විදිහට තමයි මේක අනුගමනය කරේ. අපිට තහවුරුවක් තිබුණේ ජලයට යම් අපද්‍රව්‍යයක් මුසු වුණාද කියන එක. ඒක තහවුරු කරගන්න තෙක් තමයි අපිට ජල පිරිපහදු දෙක නවත්වන්න සිද්ධ වුණේ.
කියන්නේ ජනතාවට කිසිම ආකාරයකින් අපවිත්‍ර ජලය ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක ඔබතුමා
අපි තහවුරු කරනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි තහවුරු කිරීම කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Sri Lanka police said they have received 4 complaints regarding the incident, including complaints from the National Water Supply and Drainage Board and members of the public. As a result, a joint investigation has been launched involving the Sri Lanka Police, the Central Environmental Authority and the Disaster Management Centre.
Former State Intelligence Service Director Suresh Saleh, who is being detained under the Prevention of Terrorism Act in connection with investigations into the Easter Sunday terror attacks, has been issued a fresh 90-day detention order. The previous 90-day detention order issued against Saleh was due to expire today. The Criminal Investigation Department has already reported to court a number of findings that emerged during investigations into former State Intelligence Service Director Suresh Saleh in relation to the 2019 Easter Sunday terrorist attacks, which claimed the lives of 278 people. Investigators have alleged that while serving as the head of the military intelligence at the time, Saleh maintained direct links with the group led by Zaharan Hashim, who led the Easter Sunday attacks, and directly intervened to prevent the group from being detected by investigative teams. The CID has informed court that evidence gathered during the investigation points to interactions between Saleh and members of Zaharan Hashim's group, including during the period when intelligence was allegedly being collected in preparation for the attacks and on the day the coordinated bombings were carried out. Based on information uncovered during the investigation, Suresh Saleh was arrested in Paliagoda on the 25th of February 2026 and subsequently detained under detention orders while remaining in the custody of the Criminal Investigation Department. As part of the same investigation, the CID later requested court intervention, resulting in a foreign travel ban being imposed on former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 3rd of June. 2 days later, Saleh commenced a hunger strike, and on the 7th of June, the CID arranged for him to be admitted to hospital. Since then, Saleh has remained at the National Hospital of Colombo under the supervision and security of Criminal Investigation Department officers.
රාජ්‍ය බුද්ධි සේවයේ හිටපු ප්‍රධානී සුරේෂ් සලේ මහත්මයාට දින 90ක රඳුම් නියෝග ලබා ගැනීමක් මොන හරි සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවද?
කොහොමද දින 90ෙන් මම හිතන්නේ දින
Considering that he has spent around 82 of the previous 90 days in hospital, it is possible that the investigators were unable to conduct the level of inquiries they had originally expected while he was under detention.
නොමැති වෙන්නට පුළුවන්.
අද දවසේ දත් තුනක් පුරවන්න තියෙනවා කියලා තමයි ඊයේ වෙනකොට වාර්තා වුණේ. ඒ කියන්නේ දිනපතා කියනවා මොකක් හරි කෑල්ලක් පුරවන්න තියෙනවා, එක්ක කෑල්ලක් කලවන්න තියෙනවා. එහෙම කියලා. නමුත් දැන් ඇත්තටම මේක විහිළුවට ලක් වෙනවා නේද මේ විමර්ශන ක්‍රියාවලිය මේ වැඩි.
පාස්කු ඉරදින ප්‍රහාරයට අදාළව
He is being detained in relation to investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks. The investigators will report to court on the progress of those investigations and whether further inquiries are required. They will also indicate the additional time needed. This is ultimately a judicial process, and decisions regarding the duration of detention orders are made based on the facts presented to court by investigators. Had he been able to provide substantial cooperation during the previous detention period, it may have been possible to cover a significant amount of information relevant to the investigation.
අනාවරණය කරගන්න පුළුවන්කම තිබෙන්නට ඇති.
The Attorney General informed the Court of Appeal today that former State Intelligence Service Director Suresh Saleh remains under detention orders because investigators have uncovered sufficient evidence during the course of the investigation. Deputy Solicitor General Suharshi Herath, appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, told the Court of Appeal that Saleh has been obstructing the investigation by providing false information and preventing investigators from obtaining relevant information. She made these submissions when 12 intervening petitions filed in relation to the writ application submitted by Suresh Saleh challenging the legality of his arrest and detention were taken up before court today. Following is the translated excerpt of the submissions made by Deputy Solicitor General Suharshi Herath.
My Lords, the petitioner has stated that he left for India on the 3rd of January 2019 to attend a defence training programme and returned only in December of that year. Along with this case, the petitioner has submitted copies of both his diplomatic passport and official passport to court. During questioning the Criminal Investigation Department regarding his passport, the petitioner stated that he had handed over his diplomatic passport to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs after completing his duties at the Sri Lankan High Commission in Malaysia. However, he has submitted a certified copy of that diplomatic passport to court. If the passport had indeed been handed over to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, how was he able to submit a certified copy of it to court? A passport contains 64 pages, yet only selected pages from the petitioner's diplomatic passport have been submitted. In the case of the official passport, only 4 pages have been produced before court. Investigators asked the petitioner a very simple question, but he did not provide an honest answer even to that. Investigators also requested the passwords to his mobile phone and computer. The petitioner declined to provide them. As a result, investigators had to obtain court orders to gain access to the passwords of his devices. This is the manner in which the petitioner has conducted himself throughout this investigation. These intervening petitions have been filed in support of him. The petitioner was arrested and detained for questioning because sufficient evidence was uncovered during the investigations.
Intervening petitions have been filed by Venerable Bengamwe Nalaka Thera, Venerable Ahungalle Sirigunananda Thera, Venerable Yapanaye Sugatavansa Thera, Venerable Madagoda Abethisa Thera, Dr. Gunadasa Amarasekara, Dr. Vasanta Bandara, and the National Patriotic Movement. The petitions were considered before a bench comprising Court of Appeal President Justice Ruhantha Surya and Justice Priyantha Fernando. The Deputy Solicitor General further argued that the intervening petitions lack a valid legal basis. Accordingly, she requested the court to dismiss the petitions without granting leave to proceed. Following is the translated excerpt of the submissions made by Deputy Solicitor General Suharshi Herath.
My Lords, all the matters raised by the intervening petitioners are already contained in the main petition itself. The intervening petitioners merely repeat the same arguments advanced by the petitioner. There is no necessity for intervening petitioners to reiterate issues that have already been placed before court by the petitioner. They claim to be intervening on grounds of public interest. However, this case does not involve such a public interest issue. This case concerns the petitioner's personal grievances, including the alleged deprivation of his personal liberty resulting from the investigation. If there has been any unlawful act in relation to the arrest of a suspect during an investigation, the appropriate legal remedy would be to file a fundamental rights petition before the Supreme Court. There is no legal basis for seeking writ relief before the Court of Appeal in such circumstances.
The Court of Appeal is scheduled to deliver its ruling on whether leave will be granted to proceed with the intervening petitions on the 7th of September.
Journalists raised questions at today's Cabinet Decisions media briefing regarding the delay in obtaining the Attorney General's advice in the case against former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is accused of spending 16.6 million rupees in public funds on a private overseas trip.
නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවෙන් ඉතාමතාම හෝ නැත්නම් අක්‍රීය තත්වයෙන් බොහෝ ෆයිල් පරක්කු වෙනවා. දැන් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාගේ සිදුවීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගත්තොත් තවමත් දැන් ගිය සතියේත් අපි මතු කළා මේ වෙනකොට පුරුණුතුණත් මාර්ග උද්දේශ ලැබිලා නැහැ. දැන් මේක ඇත්තටම මෙහෙම ගියොත් දැන් ජනතාවගේ බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තිබුණා මේ වගේ නඩු සම්බන්ධයෙන් කඩිනම් පියවර ගනි, ඒ වගේම ඉදිරි ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගනි කියලා අවුරුද්දක් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. විමර්ශකීන් මේවා බාර දීලා දැන් සෑහෙන කාලයක් වෙනවා. මොකක්ද ඇත්තටම මේකට මීට වඩා තර්දින් කටයුතු කළ යුතු නැද්ද නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව සම්බන්ධයෙන්?
නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව හිතාමත් තමයි වෙන කටයුතු.
We do not believe that the Attorney General's department is deliberately delaying such matters. However, the department has undergone a number of reforms and there are also many ongoing recruitments. The number of officers currently available is handling a large volume of cases. At the same time, I believe, and they should take into consideration, the expectations of journalists, the media and the general public regarding the Attorney General's department. That is how a government should function. I am sure they will also take into consideration the issue that you have repeatedly raised. Therefore, our expectation is that they will make every possible effort to expedite these matters and provide the necessary assistance to the judiciary. The following is a revelation made by Sanjay Mahavatta, convener of the Civil Intelligence Front, at a media briefing held today. According to this document, Ranil Wickremesinghe, listed under number 117, 5th Lane, Colombo 3, is identified as the individual holding the largest number of shares among the 50 shareholders of the company. There are 6 members of the Wickremesinghe family listed as shareholders of Warner Limited. Collectively, they hold a substantial number of shares. The company is now being operated as a family asset by the Wickremesinghe family. But that is not the main issue. We have received information that the company has obtained a substantial amount of loans, and we are currently gathering further details regarding those loans. At this point, the Wickremesinghe family is stepping down from the company's board of directors. This is the document showing the changes to the directors. Who has been appointed in place of the Wickremesinghe family? Ashoka Hemachandra. We have to ask who he is. His email address is listed as ashoka@dayagroup.com. Then there is Samindra Pilittua Gamage. Who is he? He is the son of Daya Gamage. The Daya Gamage family's business group has now reportedly become financially distressed, whether through bankruptcy, liquidation or losses. What appears to be happening is that Daya Gamage is preparing to take over what we believe is the sinking ship of Ranil Wickremesinghe. But there is a question here. If Daya Gamage becomes bankrupt, the penalties he may face could be reduced. There is also a possibility that loans obtained from state banks could eventually be written off as bad debts. Therefore, we believe a massive billion-rupee fraud could be taking place. We are asking, how much money has Warner Limited obtained as loans from state banks? If the company has obtained such loans, why were they not repaid while the Wickremesinghes were in control of the company? Why are Ranil Wickremesinghe and the other 6 members of the Wickremesinghe family now quietly withdrawing from the company? Why is the company being handed over to another group, including the son of Daya Gamage, whose business group has faced financial difficulties? Before Wickremesinghe stepped down, had this company settled the billions of rupees in outstanding loans? Based on the situation we see now, it appears that the Wickremesinghes have strategically distanced themselves from the company, potentially leaving state banks with losses amounting to hundreds of millions of rupees. This is the situation we are dealing with. We will be making a complaint to the COPE committee regarding this matter. These individuals are allegedly involved in a large-scale white-collar mafia. They have portrayed themselves as wealthy businessmen, while the money involved actually belongs to the people of this country, the funds held by state banks and the deposits of ordinary depositors. If depositors' money is channeled into a business network in this manner, and the company is ultimately handed over to a financially distressed family, there is a risk that the company itself could eventually be driven into bankruptcy. Even the company secretary has been changed. There is hardly anything more that needs to be said. From the allegations surrounding Batalanda and other incidents, he has managed to distance himself from responsibility. Now it appears that he is attempting to distance himself from these billions as well, while allowing Daya Gamage to take responsibility. One of the allegations against Wickremesinghe concerns public property. The second allegation could potentially be this matter, based on all the documents and evidence we are preparing to present. If they can, we challenge Ranil Wickremesinghe, any member of the Wickremesinghe family or the United National Party to immediately issue a media statement denying that any such transaction took place. That is our challenge.
චෝදනාව සමහර විට අපි මේ ඉදිරිපත් කරන සියලුම ලේඛන සාක්ෂි සාධක සහිත ඉදිරිපත් කරන මේ චෝදනාව වෙයි පුළුවන් නම් අපි අභියෝගයක් කරනවා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ හෝ වික්‍රමසිංහ පවුලේ කිසිවෙක් හෝ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය හෝ වහාම මාධ්‍ය නිවේදනයක් නිකුත් කළා මෙහෙම කාරණාවක් උනේ නැහැ කියලා කියන්නේ ඒක තමයි අභියෝගය
දැන් ඔබතුමාගේ කරන බරපතල චෝදනාව ඇතුලේ රාජ්‍ය බැංකු වලින් කොච්චරක් මුදල් අරගත්තද කියන සාක්ෂි තියෙනවද
ඒක ඇත්තටම කෝප් කමිටුව මගින් සෙවිය යුතු කාරණාවක්
That is something that should actually be investigated by the COPE committee. We have developed serious suspicions regarding this transaction involving Ranil Wickremesinghe. We suspect that the shares were transferred in this manner with the intention of having a substantial loan owed by the company written off. We have certain information regarding this matter. However, since we intend to use that information in future legal proceedings, we will ensure that it is not disclosed to the media at this stage.
Questions were raised at today's Cabinet Decisions media briefing about how the law is enforced against fraud and corruption uncovered by parliamentary committees.
ඊයේත් පෙරේදත් මේ මාධ්‍යවල ලොකුවට සාකච්ඡා වෙනවා මේ නිවාස සංවර්ධන මූල්‍ය සංස්ථාවට මිලියන 1000කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක් පාඩුවක් කරපු දයාගමගේ ව්‍යාපාර පිළිබඳ. ඒතකොට දැන් ඔබතුමාලගේ ජනවරමේ තියෙනවා මේ වගේ ව්‍යාපාර වලට රාජ්‍ය ආයතන වලට පාඩු කරපු අය සම්බන්ධයෙන් නීතිය කඩිනමින් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරලා ඒවා නැවත අත්පත් කර ගැනීම පිළිබඳව. දැන් මේ සංවාදයට ලක් කරලා අතහැරලා දානවද නැත්නම් ඉතින් එහාට වැඩි බරක් දාලා ඉතා ඉක්මනින් පියවර ගන්නවද මොකද කරන්නේ?
Information revealed by COPE is something submitted to the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, while in other cases it is referred to the relevant institutions. Legal action is then taken accordingly. As you can see, we are dealing with a country that has been plagued by serious corruption and crime, and there are a large number of issues now being uncovered. Investigations are being carried out into them. In fact, the matters that have been revealed so far are not sufficient to reflect the full extent of the crimes and corruption that existed within the state. The situation was far more serious. These issues are gradually coming to light one by one. As more information is uncovered, action will be taken accordingly. That is precisely why reforms to the judicial system are necessary.
Lalit Kanangara, alias Bus Lalit, who is alleged to be an organised criminal and was arrested in Dubai before being brought back to Sri Lanka, has been placed under a 72-hour detention order for questioning.
He was arrested during a special operation carried out under the direct supervision of the Inspector General of Police.
Bus Lalit was arrested in November last year. The suspect was arrested at an apartment complex in Dubai based on information uncovered after one of his close associates was arrested and questioned in Sri Lanka. A team of officers from the Central Crime Investigation Bureau, the State Intelligence Service and the Criminal Investigation Department travelled to Dubai, took Bus Lalit into their custody and brought him back to Sri Lanka early this morning. His arrest and repatriation took place following judicial proceedings in Dubai.
Action was initiated to arrest this suspect based on special information received by the Inspector General of Police in October 2025. In order to act on this information, officers from the State Intelligence Service, the Criminal Investigation Department and the Central Crime Investigation Bureau travelled to Dubai in October 2025 and took steps to arrest the suspects. Therefore, this arrest was a result of a major, carefully planned operation that had been carried out over several months.
Police said Bus Lalit is suspected of being involved in several murders committed in Sri Lanka, as well as extortion, abductions, vehicle arson and robberies. One of the allegations against Bus Lalit relates to the shooting and killing of the 46-year-old owner of a restaurant at the Hangwalla Crossroad on the night of the 18th of December 2022. The victim was a father of 3. He is also accused of orchestrating the murder of former Homagama Pradeshya Sabha member Shanta Mudunkotua, alias Bana. Bus Lalit, who was brought back to Sri Lanka, was taken to the Colombo Crimes Division this morning.
The suspect will be placed in the custody of officers of the Central Crime Investigation Bureau under a detention order, and further investigations will be carried out. The suspect, who was brought back today, is believed to have been heavily involved in drug trafficking. Therefore, investigations into him, particularly regarding illegal assets, had already been initiated by the Illegal Asset Investigation Division based on information received previously.
Meanwhile, residents in Koskama, Salava, Kaluagala, Hangwalla, Mipe, Padukka, Galagedara and Meegoda expressed their reaction to the arrest of Bus Lalit. Meanwhile, 4 individuals, including organised crime figure Ranjit Kumara Disannayaka, alias Kondaranji, have also been arrested in Dubai. Police said they will be brought back to Sri Lanka in due course. Meanwhile, Manudinu Padmasiri Pereira, alias Kehilbadara Padme, an organised crime suspect Nilanga Sampath, alias Panandura Nilanga, who had been held under detention orders, were ordered to be remanded when they were produced before court today. The two suspects were produced before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court. The Criminal Investigation Department informed the court today that telephone numbers belonging to 13 prison officers and photographs of 7 models and politicians had been found on Kehalbadara Padme's mobile phone. The Colombo Crimes Division also informed the court that Kehalbadara Padme has been named as the 18th suspect in the case relating to the murder of Gane Mulle Sanjeeva. The prosecution requested the court to issue an order directing the prison authorities to produce the suspect before court on the 4th of September, when the case is due to be called again. Attorney at law Chaminda Atukorala, appearing for the suspect, requested that the prison superintendent be directed to ensure his client's safety while in custody. The lawyer also requested that the suspect be sent to any prison other than the Valisara prison. Having considered the submissions, the magistrate ordered that adequate security be provided to the suspect and stated that the prison superintendent would be responsible for ensuring his safety. The magistrate also ordered that a summary of evidence relating to the offences allegedly committed by the suspect under the Prevention of Terrorism Act be submitted to court. Meanwhile, organised crime suspect Nilanga Sampath was also remanded until the 3rd of next month. The two suspects, along with 3 others, were arrested in Indonesia on the 27th of August last year and subsequently brought back to Sri Lanka.
This August 28th and 29th, Hikkaduwa Turtle Beach comes alive with Coral Catch Festival. Feel the ocean, energy and electrifying EDM as Sri Lanka's leading artists ignite the coast. Music, vibrant culture and non-stop celebration await. Entry is free.
Welcome back to the news. The Mannar Basin is considered Sri Lanka's most established offshore petroleum basin, with previous exploration identifying gas and condensate discoveries. Sri Lanka has officially opened its latest offshore petroleum licensing round, inviting qualified international energy companies to explore 4 blocks in this Mannar Basin. The licensing round was announced today by the Petroleum Development Authority of Sri Lanka. The government of Sri Lanka, through the Petroleum Development Authority of Sri Lanka, officially announced the opening of the Sri Lanka Licensing Round 2026, offering 4 offshore exploration blocks in the Mannar Basin to qualified international energy companies. The licensing round presents an opportunity for international explorers to evaluate acreage in Sri Lanka's most established offshore petroleum basin. The official announcing ceremony was attended by several cabinet ministers, including Minister of Labour Dr. Anil Jayantha Fernando and Minister of Ports, Civil Aviation and Energy Anura Karunatilaka, together with the attendance of Director General of Petroleum Development Authority of Sri Lanka Dr. Neil De Silva, Chairman of Ceylon Petroleum Corporation D.A. Rajakaruna and several other stakeholders.
We assure our investors and the people of Sri Lanka especially that we have learned from the experience of the past and also the technology and available data. Now they are different. So therefore, we assure that the history will not repeat it again. Through the Sri Lanka License Round 2026, the government is offering 4 offshore blocks, exploration blocks in the Mannar Basin. They are technically and financially qualified international and domestic companies can invest there. Investors will have the access to comprehensive geographical, geophysical and well data.
From government side, especially the Minister of Finance and the policies are concerned, we are ready to take this risk of engaging in this exploration. I am confident that we will be able to come out with the real results that would enable us to solve lots of problems in Sri Lanka. It is the opportunity for the investors around the world.
The Sri Lanka Licensing Round 2026 creates an opportunity for companies to apply modern exploration technologies and advanced geological and geophysical interpretation techniques. The government emphasized that it is seeking experienced international companies with the technical expertise, financial capability and offshore exploration experience required to responsibly evaluate and potentially develop Sri Lanka's petroleum resources.
The final program of the first phase of Gammadda Rebuild, the Livelihood Development Initiative launched to support communities affected by the devastating Ditwa cyclone, was held in Kegol today.
The program is being implemented by Gammadda with the full support of the Mindiru Foundation of Australia.
When the Ditwa cyclone struck, Gammadda immediately launched its Gammadda Relief Convoy, the Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra, delivering emergency assistance to affected communities and providing crucial support during one of their most difficult moments. However, emergency relief was only the first step. The next challenge was rebuilding lives and helping affected families regain their independence and dignity. That vision led to the launch of Gammadda Care and Dare initiative, focused on restoring livelihoods and helping communities recover from the long-term effects of the disaster. Today, Gammadda has moved even further forward in that journey under the banner of Gammadda Rebuild Sri Lanka, a program aimed at restoring livelihoods and improving vocational capabilities is now actively underway. At today's event held at the Kegol District Secretariat, vocational equipment was distributed to individuals engaged in professions including masonry, carpentry, electrical work, metal fabrication and garment production. The program was attended by Kegol District Secretary KGS Nishanta, MTV Chief Executive Officer and Deputy Leader of Gammadda Yasarat Kamasiri, Gammadda General Secretary Prasanna Tukorala, Gammadda National Organizer Udaya Vanyarachi, Gammadda V-Force National Organizer Gihan Udyoga and members of the Gammadda team.
Since Cyclone Ditwa struck, we have continued our response efforts right up to today, carrying out various programs on a weekly basis. Initially, as you know, we launched the Sahana Yatra initiative and, as explained earlier, worked to provide the necessary assistance to people affected by the disaster across all areas as quickly as possible. Following that, we launched the Gammadda Care and Dare program from the Kotmale area. We all know that when Cyclone Ditwa struck, many of the hopes and plans we had for the future were shattered. We lost a great deal. Many people began saying that it would take Sri Lanka several years to recover from the situation caused by this disaster. However, I believe that with the whole world watching, the people of Sri Lanka have demonstrated that they are an incredibly courageous and resilient nation. They are not afraid to face any challenge. They have acted swiftly and decisively to confront the difficulties they faced and overcome them.
Essential livelihood equipment was also distributed to beneficiaries during the event. Through each phase of the recovery journey, Gammadda continues to stand alongside communities affected by disaster, transforming relief into recovery, recovery into resilience, and resilience into renewed hope for the future.
Weather first.
Let's now take a look at the weather update for the day.
Krishan Devasagayam has the details. Krishan?
Thank you, Harshini and Charlotte. Well, the Department of Meteorology says that showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces, as you can see from the blue spots in the map, as well as in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Now, fairly heavy showers exceeding 75 millimeters may occur at some locations. The department says that light showers are possible in the Anuradhapura, Mathale and Hambantota districts. The Department of Meteorology says showers or thunder showers may occur at a few locations in the Ampara, Munaragala and Batiklo districts in the afternoons. Meanwhile, predominantly dry weather conditions are expected to prevail in the rest of the island.
Meanwhile, the prevailing dry weather is having a severe impact on the daily lives of people in many parts of the country. This is the current situation at Padaviya Weather in the Padaviya area of Anuradhapura. Water levels in the reservoir have drastically declined due to the dry weather. Fish in the reservoir have also died due to the lack of water. With existing water sources proving insufficient for daily consumption, residents are facing severe difficulties.
අපිට වතුරට යක් බොන්නත් නැහැ නාගන්නත් නැහැ බොන්න ෆිල්ටරින් ගන්නෙ නාගන්නේ ළමයි දවස් දෙකක් වතාවක්
ජල මාර්ගයේ එන්නේ දවස් 3කට එක දවසයි ඒකත් බොහොම අමාරුවෙන් නාගන්නත් මදි සතෙකුන්ටවත් බොන්න වතුර නැහැ ගස් කොළන් ඔක්කොම මැරිලා කිසිම දෙයක් නැහැ තනකොළ ගහක්වත් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, all the small reservoirs in the Polonnaruwa district have also dried up due to the prevailing dry weather. Water levels in the major reservoirs are also gradually declining. With insufficient water suitable for consumption, drinking water is being supplied by bouncers to around 600 families in Dimbulagala.
If there is a drinking water issue in your area, please inform the Gramandiladari. We have already informed the divisional secretaries as well as the Pradeshya Sabhas and municipal councils. Through them, we can provide the required amount of water to the affected villages.
The dry weather has also begun to affect the Ampara district. This is the current situation at Siambalagaspetia Weather, a small reservoir in the Mahaoya area of Ampara. Meanwhile, water is being distributed by bouncers to several areas of the Munaragala district due to the prevailing dry weather.
Approximately 11,074 families comprising 35,639 people have currently been affected by this disaster. Our main priority is to meet their drinking water requirements. Water is currently being distributed across 8 divisions. We are coordinating the required number of bowsers, water tanks and human resources to carry out these water supply operations.
Weather first.
Back in some local news, a group of 26 parliamentary officers and staff members from Sri Lanka is currently participating in a 5-day orientation program at the Lok Sabha in New Delhi, India, from the 24th of August till the 28th of August. The program is designed to provide Sri Lankan parliamentary officials with a comprehensive understanding of the functioning, procedures and administrative practices of India's parliament, while promoting closer institutional cooperation between the two countries. According to Indian media, the initiative offers participants an opportunity to gain first-hand insights into parliamentary operations, legislative processes and governance mechanisms within one of the world's largest democratic institutions. The orientation program also serves as a platform for the exchange of knowledge, experiences and best practices, enabling officials from both countries to strengthen professional engagement and institutional collaboration.
Wonder of the Global Theatre brought to Sri Lanka for the 12th time. Colombo International Theatre Festival 2026. 17 countries, 31 plays, 1 universal stage. August 22nd to the 27th from 6:30 p.m. at the Elphinstone Theatre, Maradana. Reserve your tickets now. Organized by the Interact Art Theatre Institute.
As geopolitical tensions reshape the global landscape, China has renewed its opposition to unilateral sanctions lacking UN authorization. The United Nations has warned of growing threats to global trade and maritime security, and the United States has removed Syria from its list of state sponsors of terrorism in a move hailed by Damascus as a major breakthrough.
The developments come amid increasing concerns over the impact of conflicts in the Middle East on global shipping routes, energy supplies and food security. Therani Kanaratna brings us more from Newsfirst International Desk. Therani?
Thank you very much, Hashini and Shalan. Yes, indeed, China has reiterated its firm opposition to unilateral sanctions that lack a basis in international law and have not been authorized by the United Nations Security Council, warning that economic pressure tactics could deepen global tensions and destabilize the international economic order. Speaking at a media briefing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said Beijing's position on sanctions remains clear and consistent, emphasizing that punitive economic measures are not an effective solution to international disputes.
China has repeatedly made clear its firm opposition to illegal unilateral sanctions that lack international law basis and are not authorized by the UN Security Council. Economic warfare and maximum pressure do not help in resolving problems. They will only further fuel conflicts, trigger risk spillovers, disrupt global economic and financial order, and impair the rights and interests of other countries. The top priority is to de-escalate the situation and return to the track of dialogue and negotiation at an early date. China will take all necessary measures to resolutely safeguard its own legitimate rights and interests. According to Reuters, a foreign ministry spokesperson said that China's cooperation with Iran is conducted within the framework of international law and should not be interfered with or disrupted. The US on Monday announced new sanctions on 60 individuals, entities and vessels in a move that it said would cut off Iran's economic lifeline, but stopped short of the most punishing measures.
Today, at President Trump's direction, the United States Treasury has begun Operation Economic Outcast, an unprecedented campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran and its enablers. Today, we are launching an economic onslaught against Iran's financial connections around the globe. Our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains this tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone. Iran now faces a very clear choice with only two paths before them: complete global isolation and a subsistence economy, or a path back to normalcy with an opportunity to rejoin the global economy.
Meanwhile, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for full respect for international law, including the law of the sea and international humanitarian law, amid growing threats to global shipping routes, trade flows and food security caused by conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. Delivering a stark warning on the escalating impact of global regional conflicts, Guterres said the international community must ensure the protection of civilian shipping, maritime infrastructure and seafarers, while safeguarding navigational rights and freedoms in some of the world's most strategically important waterways.
Today, conflicts in different regions are converging in their impact on the world's most vulnerable people. In the Middle East, ongoing attacks and the disruption of maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz and the Red Sea around Bab el-Mandab are constraining the movement of energy, fertilizers, and other essential commodities. In the conflict following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, attacks are threatening shipping routes vital for the export of oil, grain, and other agricultural products. These crises are choking arteries of global trade and squeezing the global food system especially hard. In the Strait of Hormuz alone, transits have come to a near standstill, and meanwhile oil prices remain about 33% higher since the start of the conflict. Global container rates are 84% higher than a year ago, and the costs of fertilizers and other essential inputs are also sharply increasing. And so my appeal is clear. We need full respect for international law, including the law of the sea and international humanitarian law, protection for civilian shipping, infrastructure and civilian seafarers, the upholding of navigational rights and freedoms, an immediate end to attacks against commercial shipping and civilian infrastructure in the Black Sea, the full restoration and respect of navigational rights and freedoms in the Strait of Hormuz, and an end to attacks against shipping in the Red Sea and around Bab el-Mandab.
The United States has removed Syria from its list of state sponsors of terrorism, a decision Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara hailed as historic and said would help the country's recovery after 14 years of civil war. The removal took effect after a 45-day congressional review period triggered when US President Donald Trump formally notified Congress on the 8th of July of his intention to rescind the decades-old designation.
Syria had been on the state sponsors of terrorism list since 1979, when Washington accused the government of former President Hafez al-Assad of supporting armed groups. The designation remained throughout the rule of his son Bashar al-Assad, who was toppled by rebels led by al-Shara in December 2024. The designation carries restrictions on US foreign assistance, defense exports and sales, certain dual-use items and financial transactions. It had remained a major deterrent for banks and investors even after Washington dismantled its broader sanctions program on Syria. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement that the action was, quote-unquote, taken in recognition of the positive actions taken and further commitments by al-Shara to fully distance Syria from acts of international terrorism. Al-Shara welcomed the decision in a statement on X. He thanked Trump and said Syria was tearing, quote-unquote, a page from its painful past in order to launch itself into the realm of development, reconstruction and building. Monday's announcement also revoked the designation of Al-Nusra Front, the group formerly led by al-Shara, also known as Hayat Tahrir al-Sham or HTS, a global terrorist organization. HTS was once Al-Qaeda's official branch in Syria. Let's now turn to the very latest from the world of cricket.
Krishant Devasagayam is ready to bring us the details.
Thank you once again, Charlene and Hashni. Well, day 3 of the second test between hosts Sri Lanka and visitors India took place today. Now at stumps on day 3, Sri Lanka were on 265 runs for the loss of 8 wickets, chasing India's mammoth total of 503 runs in the first innings, which they had then declared. Now, accordingly, with 2 wickets in hand, the Sri Lanka team needs to score another 38 runs tomorrow to avoid having to follow on into their second innings.
Batting first at the SSC grounds, India declared their innings after scoring 503 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. Sri Lanka started the day on 8 runs for the loss of 2 wickets. Opener Kamil Mishara was dismissed for 19 runs of 25 deliveries. Pasindu Suryabandara and Kamidu Mendis added an 87-run partnership for the 4th wicket. Kamidu Mendis was dismissed for a fighting 32 runs of 58 deliveries. Pasindu Suryabandara recorded his maiden test half-century and went on to score 80 runs of 133 deliveries, which included 9 fours. Sonal Dinusha was unbeaten on 85 runs of 137 deliveries. Prasidh Krishna and Manav Sutar bagged 3 wickets each.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.